Okay, so we're live. Hi, Ryan. So good to have you here for our FFS tea break. I am so excited about this conversation because, not to be weird, the Monday before everybody goes off at Christmas, but I'm borderline obsessed with you, which I think you know anyway. We got to know each other. I refer to you as the clever dude from the playground because, well, you are a very clever dude, and I enjoy having conversations with you. Our kids are at school. Our youngest, well, your youngest and my oldest kids are at school together, aren't they? So we met and connected on our shared passion for all things actually trying to make a difference in the world rather than doing the same SH1T. So I'm really excited about having a conversation today. So I should probably do an introduction other than the clever dude in the playground. Maybe a professional one would be helpful, wouldn't it? I've got my playground chic on today. So Ryan's awesome, really worth listening to today. He's a really experienced experiential facilitator and a proper clever dude. He knows a lot about a lot of things. So I was really excited that you said yes to coming and having a conversation today. So thank you very much for joining me.
Oh, Paula, you're very gracious. I'm always uncomfortable being referred to as clever. I'm certainly the dude at the playground. I don't know if we need to add the clever. I'm going to keep his expectations a little slower if we can.
Well, let's see what happens.
But it's brilliant to talk to you. And I just remember exactly finding out, it's like, oh my gosh, somebody who does workplace culture is physically in the playground in a sea of people who do different kinds of jobs that are lovely people. It's just like, oh my gosh, someone in my tribe. Yes, let's go. So it's brilliant.
We saw each other like beacons across the Castingle display. Yeah. So well, listen. Let's not get ourselves into quite what we need to pull off in this last week before Christmas and how many extracurricular events we've got to fit in. Shall we have a chat about your other FFS moment? Well, to be fair, the nativity was worth it last week, wasn't it? It was ultra cute, but let's not go there too far, shall we?
So cute. We could do 15 minutes on that, easy.
Yeah, we could, to be fair, but at least we didn't take any pictures as we were advised, so we can't do any graphics to support it. Not a chance.
No. Let's take our word for it. We were there. It happened.
Yeah, we were. So tell me about your what's one of the things that you notice about the world of work that you think is worth us chatting about today that you have to.
Yeah. So for me, it comes back to the fact that we have this problem, especially in organizational learning, where we get the feedback from the people that are working on teams so much, but we struggle to take that information. I'm struggling. I feel unsupported. I feel lonely or isolated. I don't know that my work matters. And then we struggle to build interventions that really address those core social needs. Instead, it's very much like, here's an AI tool to help you figure out how you can matter or connect more. It's like, no, we need a human being interaction. And the trouble is, of course, it's a cost on the spreadsheet. But in my experience, doing stuff in the room with real people, when you're in the room and the door closes and then the boss is outside, or like the training manager is like, you all set, Ryan? Go for it. Have a good day. And everyone exhales and they look around the room and they go, oh my gosh, that we have this chance to actually talk to each other. And then I say the magical words, guys, there's no PowerPoint today. And everyone cheers. Everyone cheers. For those of you who do L&D, when the door is closed and it's just me and your people, they're rejoicing at the lack of content that isn't coming from their curiosity. There is no top-down content. Now there is, of course, it's our little secret. We've got a plan, we've got a structure, we've got goals that we're trying to achieve when we're doing social skills or communication at work or things like this, but it's woven into their curiosity and what they want. And this is the thing. I really, really, really love it when I meet brilliant people who are doing the best they can and they're willing to fight the fight to say, let's get the people in the room. Let's put the content, the top-down content away, and let's let these things emerge. Let's let these conversations that need to happen in this room right now. So that's my FFS thing that jumps to the front of my mind. And it's magical when it happens. And it's happening in rooms around where I live in the middle of England right now. Like, these magic moments do happen, and they are transformative. And if it's true, sorry, my rant continues. If it's true that the things that most predict people staying in a job and thriving in a job, having a best working relationship friend at work, it doesn't mean it's your best friend, doesn't mean they're going to go to your birthday party, but like a confidant, someone to ask questions to, someone, can you just take a look at this before I send the draft? I don't want it to look bad for the client. All of these things. Let's give people these chances to form these relationships. If it takes 50 or 60 hours, if what the sociologists that study friendship say is true, we need to give these people these 50 or 60 hours away from the computer, away from the business as usual. We have to give these relationships a chance to grow with shared goals around shared endeavors. And I think the magic will happen because people are really clever and people really know what they need and they're really curious. You just need to give them a chance to say it. Was that a satisfyingly good FFS rant, Paula?
I love it. I've got like 47 things that I want to run off the back of it, so I need to control myself on it. But yes, what I really love about what you're saying, I guess there's two things that I'm hearing that I feel are really kind of core to what you're talking about. One is this piece around businesses actually investing in connection, and that piece around kind of social equity and connection being a valuable piece in the business. And I think we've kind of lost that, haven't we? We see proximity as equaling connection, which is one of the reasons we're getting all of this back into the office piece. But we're fundamentally not shifting the way that we're asking people to work. We're asking them to work in a much more disconnected way. So I might be sitting beside someone, but I'm still on Teams all day. So I'm not getting the chance to build that social capital, which, I think that's a really interesting conversation that just isn't being had around flexible working and hybrid and all the evolution that's happened over the last few years, really. We're not evolving how we manage connection at work hugely.
We're not evolving how we manage connection is exactly right. And I'll give you an example that comes up. I work a bit with people who work in primary care, so GP surgeries, training, and I talk to a lot of GP trainees who are looking for the next job. And when I ask them, what are you looking for in your job? It's never working conditions. They never say pay. They're marginal differences. What they say is this: I want to work in a place where they protect 15 minutes for a coffee break with my colleagues. That's the price of finding the best, most talented trainee doctors working for your place. Protect a coffee break for 15 minutes, fika time, right? In the Scandi sense. That is the transformational recruitment tool to help you land the most talented people that want to stay. But what they see in that 15 minutes is shared endeavor, validating conversations, question asking, or just a nice chat, just create a chance to have that belonging. So I just think, like, if this is true, if this is what people are saying, like in the quiet, I as an outsider, I get to hear them say these things. I get to read the glass door that's not written down anywhere. What's going on is people are desperate for belonging, a shared identity, mattering, autonomy within reason, so attuned to the right challenge. All of these things are the things that are the real differentiators for people. If people just want to go somewhere where they know people and are known.
Yeah. So I'm interested to talk to you a bit about how you do that in your learning, because I know from stalking the playground, I know a bit about your background, and I know that you kind of, you've got a particular specialism around improv, and I imagine that gives you confidence in the work that you do outside of your development work. It gives you confidence not to have that script or those sets of PowerPoints to work on, and gives the gift of exploring context in your learning with people, which I think is missed a huge point in development. It's just, I'm going to tell you these things that I think you need to hear, rather than I'm going to create an environment where you talk about your context and I support you to learn some things that are relevant to what you need within that context. Talk to me about the journey that you've taken. It's kind of taught you about that.
I love that you say that, because how do I do that when... So the other problem, of course, is as an outsider, I'm not a subject matter expert in the thing that they do so well in their job. Like how crazy is it to walk into like a water company and work with water engineers, and then 2 days later work with doctors? These are skilled professionals who have to work in like really high stakes conditions sometimes. What do I have to say? So my job is merely to like facilitate the emergence of like the scaffolded wisdom they've been learning on the job. Let's play a game and I'll explain it. So, because one of the things I learned from experiential facilitators, not the organizational psychologists whose evidence-based work really forms the foundation of what I do, but what do facilitators teach me, like from improv? So we're gonna play a game, Paula, really quick. 2 minutes?
Let's go
I'm
for
going
it.
to show
Yeah.
you what we do. Okay, say the alphabet as fast as you can. Say it in under 6 seconds, okay? Ready? Go.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, P.
That was pretty good. That was like 3 seconds. Now I want you to count from 1 to 26 as fast as you can. Go.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 26. Gosh, that's a lot more.
Lovely, brilliant. Okay, so I like to do these activities. That's the 2 starter activities. I like to do this if part of the work that we're doing in the room is getting people to think out loud about how they navigate having a work environment full of distractions. If we want to unlock those stories, if we want to pivot, if we want to unlock the curiosity around this. So what I'm going to ask you to do next is the important part of this game. I want you to do the 2 things you just did, but instead of doing letters and then numbers, I want you to weave them together. So like this, A1, B2, C3, D4, E5, F6, G7, H8, I9. I'm going to ask you to get to M for me, Paula. Let's see you do this. Ready? And go.
Right. A1, B2, C3, D4, E5, F6,
Go.
G7. I haven't got the working memory for this, dude. G, H, H, H. Should we just go to H and then you can tell me what I've just demonstrated to the world other than my terrible working memory?
26 Ed. So the question I would ask now is, what happens? You've got 2 people who are like serious leaders or managers. They're getting pinged all day, or they're doctors on a busy ward and people are pulling them to and fro. If I said to them at the start, before playing that game, tell us about a time at work where you struggled and you noticed that your ability to make good decisions was impaired because you were so flooded with requests, demands for your time. They'd say something that's safe and obvious. But when you play that game and they play it in pairs and then they struggle and they're like, R17, they get to the end, they're like, Z24, no, wait, I missed 2 letters. And they laugh and they have this shared experience. It makes things really safe. And once they go through this safe experience together, all of a sudden the story that they share, it's like, oh, the last hour of a night shift, I'm actually like, I need people to really check my work because I'm so tired after like a week of nights. I really actually don't trust my own clinical judgment. I'm embarrassed to say that. And the other person goes, me too. I feel the same way. And all of a sudden, by playing a really silly game with really low stakes, like a silly game like that, we get to talk. Then we can talk about task switching. We can talk about switching cognitive domains and how you can be a clever person whose cognition is impaired to the demands of your environment. So this is why when you go home and you beat yourself up, second guessing your decision making at work, you're like, why did I say that? Why was I short with that person? Well, you're managing cognitive resources. You're hearing the words, but you're not hearing the music of what someone says. But we can guide people to have these really great debriefs. In the applied improv world, a lot of times what we talk about is connection before content. So by playing a silly low stakes game, it helps people connect. The game has a purpose. It's to unlock meaningful work conversations, tacit knowledge sharing, all the rich and good stuff that happens at work. But I sort of Trojan horse it by giving them, let's just play a silly activity like the alphabet game. And they play it and they recognize the cognition, the cognitive state they're in that silly game. It also helps them say things like, hey, I can be kind to myself because the work environment I'm in isn't optimized for my brilliant thinking. It's actually optimized for like the busy hyperactive hive mind, but I need to be really smart. So maybe I need to put up boundaries sometimes to protect my cognition, to address a really tough complaint, or to have a really serious conversation with a colleague about something that happened at work. And so I go, oh no, it's okay. All of these like beautiful things come up. It's like, you mean I can do this? You mean I'm allowed to do this? And I say, well, do you want to do your best work? Yeah. Okay, well, negotiate it with your team. Figure out a solution that works on the ground. Anyway, so that's why I love applied improv, because silly things, even like the alphabet game, which we use in an improv sense just to help people remember, like, right, it's really hard to think on your feet. This is the challenge we're wrestling with, can unlock really great work conversations no matter what job people are doing.
Yeah, I really see that. I think there's a really interesting piece there for me as well around kind of, well, you talked about the connection piece, but also that ability to laugh. You know, I think as you were saying there, there's a bit, I don't think we give ourselves space in the modern work environment to regulate our emotions or our cognitive load. You know, I'm using a parenting example. We always talk in our house about manage the emotion and then you manage the behavior, and you know, we know that as parents, don't we? But we don't necessarily do that as managers. Everything's straight to the behavior or straight to the task, and we've kind of forgot the humanity, I guess, at work. That's kind of, it's encouraging me to really think about, how do I meet the person as a person first before I do the work that we need to do, which I guess is some of what you're saying there.
Yeah, always connect before the content. This is why one of the things I get pushback on is people don't like to do role play, and they're scared if they're working with me, they're going to do role play. And I always say we're going to do activities that in some way sort of echo real work situations, but the way we're going to do it in this room is super low stakes. So you're not going to have to put on your work mask. You can just be you. We're going to do some abstract activities, but from applied improv, one of like the tenets of wisdom is sometimes the abstract is more real. And I think every boss can take that in. It's actually like, maybe we'll unlock a better conversation if we come in through the side door.
Yeah, makes sense. You're making me feel much better about some feedback I got early in my career, that the introduction of workshops that I do looks more like a stand-up session than it does a professional piece of feedback. But I think it's probably unconsciously applying some of those concepts around that connection, using humor, connection, and kind of vulnerability, I guess, to make it safe for people to learn. So maybe I'll send shall I send a reflective email back to that person this afternoon to tell them, thanks for that feedback, you're right.
It sounds like a compliment to me.
Yeah, make it appropriate jokes at the start. I think that's the best. I'm going to leave that feedback for sure based on our conversation. So what's one thing that you would want people to take away from our conversation today? What could they? Let's not shoot it. It is the Monday before Christmas, so we'll not put any more shoots on anyone. But what could someone do to kind of apply some of what you've talked about in their day-to-day work to help them feel like they're benefiting more from that sense of connection with others?
I think the one thing that I would say is that sometimes we have to just make time and space for real human connection while being empathetic to the people we're with. There'll be people at work. This is the way I describe it for people who struggle with making friends at work. It's like sometimes people want to make friends around the work. So this is someone who wants to know what you did at the weekend or what the name of your dog. And sometimes people want to connect through the work. So these are people who, when you say, what's going on for the weekend? You're like, oh, it's good. Anyway, let's talk about that project we're working on. So I would say the best thing you can do is just check in with people. If you're a manager and you have the chance to talk to the people in your team, I'd go like, what are you noticing right now? Like, how do you like to show up at work? I'm always a huge fan, actually, in sort of like asking people, like, in your experience in the past, what's the best way that you felt like you've connected with people at work? And let them give you the answer, because they can give you the code for how they like to show up and how they like to connect. So with you and your team, you might have two people where it's project, but you can find the fun within that conversation. And other people, maybe they want to talk about life at home, or there's uncommon commonalities of those quirky things you share, whether you support the same sports team or whether you like to find the coolest place to ride your mountain bike. It's not about finding the best thing for you. It's about being curious for what other people need to feel connected through the work and making time and space for that connection. I think that is the lovely, empathetic thing to give to people at work to help unlock the best version of all of our professional friendships.
I love that. That's really helpful. You're contextualizing some of my previous experiences around building connection at work as well, just with that bit of feedback. So thank you so much. It's cool. Well, listen, we've stolen enough of your time. We always promise this is going to be 15 minutes, and it never is because it's too interesting a conversation. But I am very glad that you said yes to the conversation today. Thank you so much. And I'll see you in a couple of hours at pickup, shall I? So I'll see you then.
See you at pickup. Bye, Paula. Thank you. Bye.